Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're going to talk about how would a customizable challenge would look like in Action Taimanin. But before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So, Gremory has been telling us in the developer notes that they want to make sure that players use their boxes to their fullest potential, and that's why they have added certain contents like VR and Total War, and they want us to acquire more characters, more weapons, which is perfectly normal for a gacha game. They want to maximize their profit, and players who play a gacha game like to collect things. So yeah, that's fine and everything, but I think they are taking the right steps to do this, but they could do better. And I have played other gacha games, and I have experienced different ways in which the developers challenge the players and incentivize using different strategies, different characters, weapons, support, equipment, whatever it's available in the game. And I think that a customizable challenge would be amazing, an amazing way for developers to incentivize acquiring more characters, supporters, and weapons in the game. So let me show you how a customizable challenge would look like. So the first thing that we need to talk about are stages and enemies. So in a customizable challenge, it would be unwise to add new enemies or new stages. Honestly, they can easily reuse assets from the game and just have different type of stages that we can face. Maybe each week we have like maybe 3 stages, or maybe just one, like in VR. But the idea would be to reuse what they already have. There are extremely annoying enemies, normal enemies, that can pose a great challenge if they increase their HP, their defense, or whatever. For example, this thing, oh my god, this enemy is extremely annoying. It's just like Lapis and the twins. It just heals itself too much, and if you don't have the right amount of damage, that can be really annoying, and you might be incentivized, depending on your damage, to use a supporter like Christmas Princess Anemone. So yeah, it would be nice to see some of the already existing enemies in this kind of content. Another important thing is the stages. I would recommend Gremory to use both big stages and small stages. This stage is particularly great for characters who like to be cramped with the boss, because they can be next to the boss, there's nowhere to escape, and they can just abuse their proximity. Obviously, that is not going to be that effective for characters who like to go range, like Maika. She doesn't like to be next to the enemy, so this is not the best example. The best example is it's like the Gosha Academy training grounds ish. It's like the forest. I don't remember the name of that stage, but that's a pretty big stage that could be swarming with enemies, and big AoE attacks would be better. There could be one big enemy, like let's say Chrismatron, that we can just hit with big AoEs or with tracking attacks from someone like Maika. So yeah, honestly, they don't need to put that much effort into designing things. They can just reuse assets, because the main appeal of a customizable challenge isn't the enemies themselves or the stages, but rather the limitations and the buffs. So let's check that. So the idea here would be that we have to reach a certain amount of points, and to get points we need to activate certain challenges. So let's say that you don't have a strong account and you just select one challenge and you play like if it was a normal stage, just with one demerit, and you have to play the stage 10 times or something like that. Maybe instead of that, you could select a bunch of challenges and play the stage only once. But you are selecting how difficult you want the stage to be. We could have things like limiting our character selections. Maybe I go with a suppressive character, so I block, assist, I block, protect, and I'm gonna use a demon, so I also block humans and I also block machines. So I can only select suppress and demon type characters. That would be amazing. Obviously, you cannot block everything because you cannot play if you block all your options. And another example would be to reduce our particle charge. That's another excellent limitation. We could reduce it by 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. But if you select this one, you can only select one of these four. You cannot select multiples. It would make no sense to do that. Also, we can give up our weapon active. Most players don't use the weapon active. There are some strategies that rely on using weapon actives. So if you're not gonna use that, we just block it. The same can be said about suppress actives. Sometimes they are game changers, and sometimes they are nothing impressive. Depends on one supporter you are using and if it works with your strategy. Most times it's just going to be a certain amount of damage with an extra effect, but sometimes it is something really, really impressive. So blocking those actives would be a great way to limit ourselves. Also blocking the ultimate. For example, let's say that you don't want to use your ultimate or your weapon active. You put block particle charge, you put weapon active block, ultimate block, and there you have 3 limitations that are going to increase your score. You could also block the equipment so that you cannot equip your weapons. You could activate buff removal so that any buff that you activate is removed immediately. You could also limit yourself from equipping assist, assist, protect, and suppress type supporters. Obviously, you're gonna need, similar to the characters, you're gonna need one of these at the very least. I mean, you could go without supporters, but that's a little bit too much in my opinion. Then you could apply damage reduction, of course, and this you could apply the 3 of them, or well, the 6 of them, because it's for the colors are also for the types. You could also limit the colors of your Magatamas. Let's say that everyone uses red Magatamas, so we block the HP, the defense, and the yellow ones. Or maybe you want to challenge yourself, so you block maybe the red and the yellow, and you have to go defensive. We could also activate the ignore weapon enchantment or ignore awakening skills. That's another thing that Gremory could do here, because weapon enchantment and awakening skills make a whole lot of difference. And also we could buff the enemy, because these are for the most part stage effects or limitations to your equipment or the damage that you do or the characters or supporters you select. But we can also enhance the boss itself, increasing its HP, its attack, its speed, giving it extra effects similar to the ones in VR, like skill cooldown reduction. Also, we could make them debuff immune. If you rely a lot on Momochi weapons, perhaps you don't want to use this. But if you have a really aggressive strategy, like the one that you might use against Werewolf Knight, which has a certain amount of buff immunity, then go with full damage and activate this. You could also make the super armor permanent so that the enemy cannot get interrupted. And you might be thinking, Why would I do this? Why would I activate all of these limitation or buffs to the enemy? Well, to do less runs, that would be the first thing, because you want to reach a certain amount of points daily. So that's one thing. But another one is that the fact that you activate limitations doesn't mean that you're going to receive the demerits of those limitations. For example, let's say that I do a weapon active build. So I can limit my ultimate. I can put the buff removal limitation. I can put, let's see, I can put the maga damage for HP and defense. I can put, obviously, depending on the character, let's say we're using for a weapon active strategy Kurunai, because Kurunai has the most weapons. So I'm gonna block assist, I'm gonna block suppress, I'm gonna block human, and I'm gonna block machine. So I have a protect demon character. I can block my supporter active if it doesn't help me with the weapon active strategy. But if you have, for example, the limited green mecha, you want to keep this up. Also, you could go rainbow in this specific strategy. You could go rainbow, or maybe you could go red, red and green. Yeah, red and green. That's the most common one. So we can block suppress. We can reduce the damage of humans because we're using a demon. Reduce the damage of machines. Reduce the damage of suppress and assist, so that the damage of exactly Kurenite that we're using is not hindered in any way. So I activate all the demerits for the things that I'm not using. And I get a bunch of points, and I'm forced to use a strategy that I wouldn't use normally. Weapon strategies are not something that people normally use. This is a way to incentivize players to use different strategies with their boxes. That's the thing. We can do different combinations of the merits, and even let's say that I activate all of the damage reductions. Even with those, we could still challenge the enemy. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Similar to VR, when we advance in the steps, it just becomes more difficult. And some of these options could be shown as sliders. Let's say that the damage reduction can go from 20% damage reduction, 30%, 50%, 60, 70, 80. So you select how much damage reduction you want for the enemy, and the more damage reduction you put, the more points it gives you, or something. The same can be said about speed, attack, anything at all. I mean, I think this kind of challenge would be amazing. What other effects would you like to see in this? Would you like to see buffs? Honestly, I don't think buffs would work for your characters on this specific mode. There are some other proposals of different modes where buffs are more suitable, but this is not the case. You want to have as many demerits to find a way to circumvent them, so that you're able to farm this effectively without hitting those demerits, or hitting as little as less demerits as possible. Yeah, as less demerits as possible. So, what do you think about this, guys? Would you like to see a mode where you can select the demerits that are affecting your characters? Would you like to apply these kind of limitations? Let me know in the comments. Honestly, there's many ways Gremory can incentivize players to acquire more supporters, weapons, and characters. But I think, like, the while the for example, the formations are nice, they aren't exactly the most broken thing in the world. They might become broken when they buff them, and if we are able to equip multiples of them, but right now I would say they are just nice to have. So, That's about it for today. I hope you find this entertaining, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!